seminal speeches at home and abroad. The latest is the Labour Party's presidential candidate, Peter Obi, who's gone to Chatham House in London to engage with the international community and Nigerians in the diaspora on his vision for policy change and institutional reforms in Nigeria. Arise chief correspondent John Cookson caught up with him in London.
Like every other nation, we're not going to fulfill it overnight. What we want to do is to reverse the present trend and show that we're on path to growth, we're on path to doing the right things, build the sense of hope that will help us to mobilize the resources to continue trading on that path. No government have enough. No government have fulfilled everything overnight. People are not expecting in Nigeria 100% result. They want 100% effort, and that we're in the right direction. And with that hope, we'll start mobilizing resources to continue trading on the right path.
Now, there are millions of more voters this time than before. I think you mentioned 12 million more voters. How can you be sure that these young people who traditionally don't vote actually go to the polling booth and vote?
Because of what they're going through. You know, they're left out there without any means of livelihood, without knowing where the next meal will come from, without any jobs. So for them, it's critical. But most of them are running for presidency through me. And my promise is that I will not let them down. We must build a Nigeria where they will be proud to see they are Nigerians. And that's what I want to do.
You're going to need the young people to be president, but you're also going to need the backing of the Muslim population, which traditionally votes for the president. Are you confident that you've got their vote?
Well,
as a devout Catholic.
No, let me tell you, there's no religion in Nigeria that is not suffering. There's nobody that buys bread cheaper. Everybody's going through the same problem. The Muslims don't have uninterrupted electricity. They don't have good roads. They don't have good schools. When universities closed down, the Muslims, the Christians, everybody, the same thing. So religion is not an issue. It's an elite conspiracy to continue to be in power. That is not the issue today. The issue today is how do we mobilize the young people, Muslims, Christians, everybody alike, to ensure that we have good governance. A governance that cares for everybody, Muslim and Christians alike. And that's what we're going to do.
Now, when you become president, what's your foreign policy as far as the UK is concerned? Will there be more trade between the two countries?
We'll maintain the same relationship as it is today and enhance it. But that will be first. We need to deal with domestic issue, because your foreign policy is more robust when you have domestic stability, which is what we're going to do first, and be able to build an economy that is more robust domestically, and then be able to export more, build more relationship. UK being our traditional partners, of course, we've had a long relationship, and it will remain the same.
What's your number one priority? What do you want to achieve within the 100 days?
Well, it's not about what I'm going to achieve in 100 days. It's about bringing government that people can trust. Of course, we're going to focus on fighting and ensuring that we secure the country, dealing with issues of rule of law, bringing civility and order in the system.
A major speech, of course, delivered by Peter Obi at Chatham House. How did he come across?
The room was full of obedience, Charles, so you can imagine that he was playing to a happy house. They applauded his every applause line, so that has to be taken into account. There was a sprinkling of journalists, including myself. But look, it was such a difference, such a contrast to the Tinubu press conference appearance at Chatham House back in December. This guy, first of all, he stood up for the whole of his speech. He didn't stick to the script. He was witty, he was charming, he comes across as being very intelligent, and some of the things that he's promising for the Nigerian people are fantastic, and one wishes him well. But as I asked him at the start of that interview, where's the money going to come from with inflation running at 20%, growth at around 2-3% for Nigeria? I mean, he's proposing plans of billions and trillions of dollars, but for the faithful, that didn't matter too much. And the reaction on the internet has been amazing. I mean, he's very much a man of social media, but I'm looking at tweets now from clearly supporters. One said it's the best address he's ever given to anywhere, even in Nigeria. It was fresh, it was precise, it hit the bullet points. Another wrote, he's sincere, intelligent, witty at times, and covered a whole range of subjects, which is absolutely true. And afterwards, he was kind enough to sit down with people like myself for a chat.
What's the significance of Nigerian presidential hopefuls always going to Chatham House to speak? I mean, by the end of this week, all the frontline presidential candidates would have spoken there.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, it gives them an international audience, doesn't it? Because if they come and speak at Chatham House is such a prestigious place that journalists and analysts, they want to go, and there's a tradition of going there and listening to what's being said. So it's a great venue to speak at, and presidents, kings, queens, and prime ministers going back to the 18th century have spoken at Chatham House. So to answer your question, it puts them on the world stage. And although, of course, the election is in Nigeria, people are watching from all over the world. And in fact, 60,000 people tuned into the Chatham House feed, as well as us carrying it live on Arise. So it gets them world attention. And there were other broadcasters there. I mean, Channel 4, Sky News was there. And, you can't buy that kind of publicity. So it's a shrewd move for candidates to appear at Chatham House.
Arise Chief Correspondent John Cookson there in London.
Again, my dear people, let me again correct one impression, because I've seen some people saying in the media that I released one news or the other. I have never, directly or indirectly, spoken or released any message since after voting on the 25th. My last comment to the media was immediately after voting on the 25th, and I've never done so until now. So whatever you see in the media, please disregard. It's not coming from me, directly or indirectly. This is my first time of speaking, coming out to the media, and I thank all of you for your understanding. For me, it's a very simple thing, is to speak to Nigerians who on the 25th of February trooped out en masse as committed citizens to participate in what all of us know as what are called existential election for supposedly free, fair, credible presidential and National Assembly election. We enjoy, and in all things we give thanks. It's surprised between the year 2000 and year 2015, The only measure of development that is known globally is Millennium Development Goals. This is the standard benchmark. If you check, when I became governor in 2006, we started implementing it in 2008. So we are late by 7 years. By the time Nigeria it stopped in 2015, Anambra was #1. And that includes, I was #1 in education. This is by UNDP, not by Nigeria. By UNDP, I was #1 in education. By Nigeria and WAEC, I was #1. I won Bill Gates Prize in health. This is again not Nigeria that marked it. So I can go on. I had the best road network. In terms of fighting poverty, go and check, ask Evelyn Oputu. I was the first governor to go to Bank of Industry and say, I want us to do something. I want to put in money here and you support my micro, small businesses, which is what the governors are seeing today. I and Evelyn Oputu started that. Then, go and ask Magnus Marco, who was in charge of poverty alleviation. I was #1. I'm calling names of people. I can go on and on. But let me tell you about, about that issue. It's good that when my opponents talk, let us talk about corruption. One of the things that is killing this country today is corruption perception index. And that is measured on how you manage public assets, nepotism, how you share the land, how you manage your money and everything. And I've challenged everyone and just said, go and see whether there's anywhere a kobo of Anambra State money is missing. Saving have now become an issue when people have stolen all the money and impoverished the country, and you are now questioning a man who's left the money without anybody telling me to leave it and go.
Mr. Obi, we'll take that as your closing moment because we're totally out of time. But on behalf of China Television Partners, the Situation Room, these are charter of demands, one for you and one for Dr. Baba Hackman. These are key areas in which the civil society organization want your team to look at and tackle. But I must sincerely thank you on behalf of all our partners.
Again, my dear people, let me again correct one impression because I've seen some people saying in the media that I released one news or the other. I have never, directly or indirectly, spoken or released any message since after voting on the 25th. My last comment in the media was mainly after voting on the 25th, and I've never done so until now. So whatever you see in the media, please disregard. It's not coming from me, directly or indirectly. This is my first time of speaking, coming out to the media, and I thank all of you for your understanding. For me, it's a very simple thing is to speak to Nigerians who on the 25th of February trooped out en masse as committed citizens to participate in what all of us know as what are called existential election for supposedly free, fair, credible, presidential, and National Assembly election. We enjoyed And in all things, we give thanks to God. For me, number one thing is gratitude. Gratitude to God Almighty that continue to protect and bless our dear country, Nigeria. Number two is gratitude to Nigerians that participated in the election, answering the call as true citizens in our dear country. Number three is gratitude to those of Nigerians, especially the youth, that believed and worked tirelessly for a new Nigeria, and trusting that new Nigeria on that thing and my good self. I thank them for their hard work. Gratitude to the Obidient youths, those who believe that a new Nigeria is possible. And I say to them that a new Nigeria is possible, and we'll work for that new Nigeria that is possible. Their resilience, their hard work for a new Nigeria should not be waned. Daddy and I remain committed to that new Nigeria. I know how they'll be feeling now because of the way the elections have come and gone. The commitment and resilience of Nigerians, even in face of unwarranted barrack attacks, is a testimony that a new Nigeria is indeed possible. I look at people like Lady Jennifer Ifedi, who was stabbed but insisted on voting. And that gives me courage to believe that a new Nigeria is indeed possible. And there's so many other Nigerians. The election that we just witnessed have been conducted and results announced as programmed. It is a clear vision from electoral rules and guidelines as we were promised. This election did not meet the minimum standard expected of a free, transparent, credible, fair election. It will go down as one of the most controversial elections ever conducted in Nigeria. The good and hardworking people of Nigeria have again been robbed by our supposed leaders whom they trusted. However, let me humbly and most respectfully appeal to all Nigerians to remain peaceful, law-abiding, and conduct themselves in most responsible manner. Please be assured that Dati and I, and indeed all of us, this is not the end, but the beginning of the journey for a birth of new Nigeria. Dati Baba Ahmed and I remain absolutely undaunted and deeply committed to the project of a new Nigeria that will be built on honesty, transparency, fairness, justice, equity. All the above starts with the process. The process through which people come into office is far more fundamental, more important than what they do thereafter. It's my belief, and I've maintained so consistently, that if you must answer His Excellency, the process through which you arrive to office must be excellent. We must now require that we do the right things in order to generate the required confidence and moral authority to lead. As you know, the destruction of a society begin and gradually progress when we act rascally or with deliberate manipulation of the rule of law and suppression of the will of the people. During my campaign process, I said that we will govern by the rule of law because we know what not doing that will bring about. And that's why we insisted that. Let me reiterate. And I assure you that good people of Nigeria that will explore all legal and peaceful action to reclaim our mandate. We won the election, and we will prove it to Nigerians. Oh, yeah. Please do not despair. We have elections coming up on the 11th. I enjoin you to go out, campaign, and bring out people to again come out and vote in that election. We still have so many massive support out there that we need for our subnational and state assemblies. Please come out and be part of that election. I assure you that I will be part of it. I assure you that I'm totally committed for a better future in this country. And nothing will stop that. That is commitment. My commitment is total. Be rest assured that your support will not be in vain. Amen. And you will not find us wanting. We must build a better Nigeria. Amen. Where Nigerian youths will be happy, glad to call their own country. Yes. Thank you, and may God Almighty continue to bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you very much.